Hello everyone, it's Coleman Hill from Advanced Composition, and first off I want to say you never know how good the classroom is until it's suddenly taken away from you. If it was up to me right now, I would spend 24 hours 7 days a week in a classroom rather than doing this online stuff, and I know we can't help it. I know we can't help how this coronavirus affected us, but I'm about to go insane, and I'm glad this online class is coming to an end, but it about got to me. But the book that I want to show and tell is called Reach Out, and it's an optimistic look at today's opportunities. And the author is James L. Sullivan, and he served as a president of the Southern Baptist Sunday School Board from 1953 to 1975 when he retired. In this book, it compiled many of his various Sunday school teachings, and what I thought was pretty cool was he decided to hold out the denominational specific teachings. So like he held out just the Baptist teachings, he held out the Methodist teachings, just for the sole fact that he wanted to reach out to the biggest Christian community and able for them to enjoy God's teachings through him. So I thought that was pretty cool. And the first quote I want to look at is on page 14, and the chapter is entitled The Rhythm of Growth. And the quote is, "Growth has a rhythm. Advancement rarely takes place in a sustained manner. Much as we desire this, every growth graph has its valleys along with its peak." So what I got from this was, enabled to grow, for us to grow as Christians, as to grow as students, we require a rhythm and a schedule. And the schedule, helps us stay busy, and it helps us get through everyday life. And this schedule or this rhythm might mean, valleys, but it also means that there are peaks with these valleys. And I like to think of everything as through an analogy or an example. So the first example that came to my mind was a corn patch, requires rain, nutrients, and weeding. And there will be times of drought and lack of nutrients in this corn patch, and it may also get overrun with weeds, but with a little bit of work, a little bit of rain, and a little bit of nutrients, the potential is still there. And that goes along with us, as Christians and as God followers. We may go through, trials and tests, but the potential for us to work and to serve for God is still there. And I just find that so great, And I wanted to compare this to Augustine's essay on Christian doctrine, and on page 458 specifically, on the left side of the column, he says, "It is the duty then of the student and teacher of the Holy Scriptures, who is the defender of the true faith and the opponent of error, both to teach what is right and to correct what is wrong, and in this function of discourse to conciliate the hostile, to arouse the careless, and to inform those ignorant of the matter in hand and what they ought to expect." So what I got from this was, teaching helps the growth of the believers. God gives pastors and preachers us in our lives to help us grow as Christians. And yes, we may slip up sometimes, but if we have someone there, which is these pastors or preachers, to correct what we did, we can realize where we are messing up and where we can, further explore God in our lives. And I just thought that was pretty cool. And a little section that goes along with this is on page 17 of the Reach Out, and it's subtitled "Leadership Must Lead." And the quote says, "Leadership's most crucial responsibility is in surveying the land, then reaching forward, then rallying the masses to move up toward the goals which have been set. It must be goal setting in which all have participated and to which all are committed." And that just kind of goes along with it, because the pastors and preachers that God give us in our life is, the leaders that we should look up to. And also, what I've seen from this is, living in the United States, being an election year, even though, you may not agree everything what the president does and everything, he's still our leader, and we should still respect him and look up to him and all that. And the next section in the Reach Out book that I want to look at is on page 29, and the chapter is entitled The Dilemmas of Democracy. The quote says, "The world is in a hurry. It hates to wait for democratic process to function. Accustomed to instant coffee and tea, our present world clamors for instant answers and actions. The rightness of the answers and actions is relatively immaterial. Many people seem to operate under the philosophy, if you don't know what to do, do something, so they get on with the action regardless of probable outcome." And what I thought from this, this book was written in 1970. So if James Sullivan was still alive today, he may have a heart attack, just the way that world works. But the world is always in need of answers, but they don't have the patience of waiting for the right answer, or waiting on God to answer. And what I've noticed is God answers prayers in three ways. He answers them yes, no, or not right now. And that not right now is probably the most crucial answer he could ever give us, because in our life we go through things and everything, and that not right now shows that we're just not ready for it. And Augustine on page 459 kind of shows this. And the quote says, "For there are some who read them, but indifferently. They read them in order to memorize them, but they are indifferent to understanding them." And what I took from this is, many read the Bible, but never apply it to them personally, to their lives. And maybe if they did, take their time out of their day to read and study the Word, maybe God would, see fit for some more of their prayers to be answered in the way that they want it to be. Not all the times, but sometimes. And the next quote I want to look at in the Reach Out book is on page 109, towards the end of the book, and it's a section titled Christian Optimism. And the quote says, "Another common frailty is for people to think in terms of gloom and doom. Some even equate morbidness with righteousness, counting it all joy to be anything but the warm, positive, personable Christian, which is characteristic of the followers of Christ." And what I've seen from this is, as Christians, we should always stay positive. No matter what we go through, we need to realize that God is with us throughout every day, throughout every situation, that God is always going to be there for us. And the last section I want to look at is on page 115, towards the end of the book, and it's actually I want to say, third to last chapter of the book. And the whole chapter is entitled The Eternity of Truth. And I'm not going to read any quotes from it just because of time purposes, but this whole section right here is looking for, the truth. And I thought that was pretty cool, because, the whole point of us in advanced comp was to look at different viewpoints of the truth that rhetorical thinkers have come along through the years. And, these people, or these rhetorical thinkers, they all have different interpretations of the truth, but many of them, agreed on certain aspects or disagreed on certain aspects. And it was pretty cool just to see the different viewpoints and the different interpretations that we have seen. But yeah, this is my show and tell. It's, Reach Out by James L. Sullivan. Thank y'all.